place here. Now, I don't know whether you're contemplating the implications of this, but you're basically saying that the world has 217 years left to go. That's a very strong statement, and let's see what else he says over here. Let's read the very top of Rabbi Shimon. This is what he talks about when he talks about Malchus going up on top of the head of Zeranpin, which is where the place of Bina is. He's trying to change this a little bit. Then he goes into this concept. We have again the substitution of the words like shati or times for different things. So in 12 hours, the world will be destroyed. So it was like that, tohu and bohu. So now coming over here, we're going to go to number Kof Vav here. And Kof Vav went on the phrase at the end of it, Vizchareb kula b'treser shate. It was a talk about the concept of these 12 hours. So we'll get into this and see. It's nice. I think I'll learn something. Let me just adjust this camera a little bit. There we go. So it says, Rebbe Lakuti Torah. He says, Vada, ki hashawos heim yud beis, so the times or the hours are 12. Kulim heim lemata b'malchus tator, all of them are in the lower malchus. Hanikras Mazel Shah, I think that's a name, it's called Mazel Shah. Mazel Shah Omed Islo. That's a pasuk. The Mazel, it has a moment. Now I'm not sure what it means. Hein Yud Bei Yushavos Hein Yud Beis Asvon de Adni. So the name Adni can be broken down into 12 letters in a milui. But Yud Beis Mazlos be Yisod Moshlim be'elu Yud Beis Shavos sheyesh mamish kenegdam b'malchus. So I guess he means that they're compared, or there's a marshal there between the Maslos that are also the Yud Beis Shavos mamish kenegdam b'malchus. So I'm not sure exactly how the Maslos work and what this is. Let's see some more. Higam hamalchus hu demus za. So actually Malchus is a reflection of za, because za is inside of her, I guess, and she's like a receptacle for him. Kamo kain kamara Adam. I'm not sure what that means. So it's also like the vision or the appearance of a man. So I guess that's what it means, appearance. So therefore these hours we're talking about in Malchus, Nikra, they're called by this name, Nikra Cheshban v'tekufos. Cheshban is a count. Tekufos is, I think, cycles. He called Cheshban the minions because all counting, who b'malchus k'nizkar, we know this from other places. In the Parshas Pinchas, he says, Akamazlos atzman enum ela b'yisod, but the mazlos themselves are not, they're really in Yisod. And I just said that Malchus becomes a reflection, or just like Zeranpin, of Hushbonim, Shehem Hashawos, Heim b'Malchus. So the mazlos are in the Yisod, and the count of them is in Malchus. That makes some sense. So if you look at this carefully, Timsaki Yud Beis Mazlo should be Yisod, Heim Nikru Yud Beis Shawos Yom, they're called the 12 hours of the day. Yud Beis Shawos Shekanegda b'Malchus, Heim Nikru Yud Beis Shawos Alaylo Kanaz. Now I want to read it again just for myself. So if you look into this Ve'im Didaktek, so if you look into this carefully, he says, Timsa, you'll find Kata Yud Beis Malslos, which is just said are in the Yisod, should be Yisod, Heim Nikru Yud Beis Shawos Yom. They're also called by this. Now he says, why? Because Yud Beis Shawos Shekanegdam b'Malchus, Hein Yud Beis Shawos Alaylo. So the Shawos that you find Shawos apparently in two different places, in the Yisod, and also in Malchus Kenizka Bezoher in Parshas Vayechi Akan. Before Etzim Yud Beis Shawos, so it comes out like this, that the essence of the Yud Beis Shawos, who be Yisod Nikra Yud Beis Mazlos, and over there they're called 12 Mazlos. So he said the showers. Before he said the showers are are Malchus, but the essence of the root of them is in Yesod. And Mispar, then you count them up. Yud Beis Shaus Hu B'Malchus. So it's like I'm thinking how you translate the relation. This is that the energy, the real root of the energy is in Zeranpin called Maslos, that comes into Malchus, and it makes 12 hours, which are countable, 12 countable hours. That's the count. Okay, back on. He says, let's say Yud Beis Malchus the Mispar Yud Beis Shaus Hu B'Malchus. So the counting is always in Malchus, where it's more substantive, it's more physical. Shehu Nikra Shah. So there it's called Shah, which we mentioned, I think maybe before, that it's 385. So let's go, the 375, I mean. But the Yud Beis Shaus Hu B'Malchus Canal. So therefore, the hours actually in Malchus, when you get the number 12, that's when you actually see it in Malchus. That's my understanding. For sure, Shadavar Hu B'Tikuni Zohar, so this idea is in the Tikuni Zohar. Gevik Shetzuyim B'Luchut Yutor V'Zel L'Shonam. The trin Mimonon al trin eser shaus. So he says the Tanan eser maslos, the trin eser 12 maslos. I'm sorry, I started thinking something else I want to introduce. So he said that the 12 maslos al trin eser shaus, they go on top of it or into it for Ein Sham Od. Now, I think I wanted to send you something which I didn't do because I started looking at the Hakdama, the Tikuni Zohar. And over there it made a point, which I think is important as far as we're concerned here, is that it says that after Rebbe Shimon revealed these things to the Chaverim, it was supposed to be hidden away. And it was hidden away, and the concept is, and I don't have the quote, it would be better for you, but the general idea is that it's hidden away until the time of the Mashiach. And they go on, they say, well, right now, we have we're more or less to start revealing it. So he says if we're starting to reveal it, that means that this actually, I'm saying this out in public. Not that people can appreciate it, or really most people can't get it, but are not getting over here. But the fact is that this is the time, he's saying. We're in that time. So as a result of that, we're pulling this, we're saying this. So I just thought I would mention that, because if you counted 217 or 218 years left to go, then we realize that we're at the middle, towards the Tikkun. The Tikkun, and the time to reveal this is the time to reveal this. So it says over here, Bedilog, he says, everything gets wiped out in 12 hours. There are 12 of them, that's the Malchustika idea. So now he calls it Mazel Shah, etc. So Yud Beis Shaus Ikarim b'Malchus. So the secret of the 12 hours is that they're rooted in Malchus. The Malchus are to be in the 12 hours of Malchus. So trying to understand what he means to say when it's the 12 hours is, he's got the concept of hours related to the concept of Maslos. And then he's saying that these are actually different parts of the name Adni. And so therefore that's like a what was the right word? A flow out from Malchus into these 12 different directions. And this destroys the world. They goes all the way up to Erich, unto the Eresha de lo Yisida, Das Elyon, to the upper Das. That's where Malchus will go at that time. Ashoch Kol Tov, but all of this is a very wonderful thing. Umeir or Shevas Yamin, and it shines at this point the lights of the 7 days. The Yisbato on Hagas Olam Hazeh, and the word on Hagas of the Olam Hazeh will stop. hamisnake b'mazel shah, which really works according to the mazel of the shah of the hour. In other words, somehow the way the world works has to do with the concept of these mazlos. Omedis lo sham malchus atachton. Let me read it again. Yisbadla an hagas olam haza hamisnake b'mazel shah omedis lo shel malchus atachton, which is, I guess, that's where you find it in the mazel atachton. So he says, and when the word chezu is unusual here. When you lose, it seems to me like it means the appearance of this world, but I think chezu might mean something else. What will happen is that the way the process of bringing Okay, once again, let's read the back print for the Osid and the fuse. Yizcharev chezu high alma. So the appearance of this world will change. Now, the word chezuk, I think, is what he means by anhaga. So he said anhagas yud bei showers is the way that the yud bei showers, I guess, distribute the 12 the 12 mazlos, or whatever that shefa is. Showers the malchus atachtainu. Ki ma'alas the malchus is ala ad reisha lo isya. Then once again he says that what's going to happen is that the way that malchus works is going to go all the way up to the reisha lo isya. V'sham yeshtanda v'razman v'rashaus kabuch she'ala b'tzoni yisbarach. And then the concept of an eye of time, as we understand it, is going to change according to God's will. Adkan. So he says, look over there, the ha'ara that we have when we talk about the concept of what? The chezu, the high alma. V'sod churban v'tohu uvohu the elef hashvihi, and also that, the secret of that, ayin sham v'rei od bi'urim b'inyan b'treis shati bi'urim. Okay, so it's still shati is. I'm thinking when you look at the word shati or the word mazel, he says that the manifestation in malchus is the number 12. So when you get to it could be mazlos, and maybe it has 12 parts, but the manifestation of actually seeing it as 12 is there. So let's go to number Kuf Zayin. So after this it says Choisa Tohu Avohu. That's what the Rab says, and we're in the middle of this sentence which says. So number Kaf Vav says B'Yafashah. So that's probably back in the back. I think that's a Yafashah back there. Maybe from this pasuk. It was empty, or whatever Tohu Vohu means. That is, he got a whole bunch of words after it already existed. That's what he's saying. This is in the past. Really taking a statement about the past. It'll go back to the state that it was in originally. So it says over there like this. He says, begin dersiv bara, because it's written bara in the past tense. In the past tense, the havas vada, it was. Tohu avohu v'choshek adkan, and then that's the end of it. It comes into Tohu Avohu. Let's go from there. We'll read the up above just a little bit here. It says V'yicharev kol hanhagas ha'olam hazeh gamor v'sod ha'churban v'chazaras ha'olam d'tohu avohu be'elef ha'shvihi. So that's concept of bringing it back into the 7th millennia. Hu sheyizbatel hanhagas shem ma. Shal Olam Hazeh, so the Shem Ma, which is involved in the Bura process, which is the way that the Chasadim work. Now, particularly, that's even the Chasadim work. V'yar v'yushlan, then it will shine. V'yishlo ba'olam Shem Sag, and then what will happen is that the name Sag then will be in control of everything, which is really the way the Gevuros work. So let's see how we can understand this. So he says number Kaf Ches, he says Rebbe Eitz Chaim, he says, and he says, La'asi Devo, in the future, Asher Yisukun Kol Bechina Sag. Then you're going to see that Sag, which is a milui of Yudke Vavke on the left side. V'yira B'Kol HaMalachim, then Yichyu, that will come back to light, all of them are alive, the Malachim that broke. V'yizbara L'Gamri B'Sod Belach HaMavos L'Netzach. Az Yachzer Shem Sag. Now what's going to happen is the name Sag will go back L'Kad Muso V'Lamal Mal also. So originally when we saw Sag, so Sag was in the top of Yitzilus and Bina, or representing that, and now it's going to come back into its position. V'Shem Sag Yishlot V'Yoyer Ba'olim. So I bring that concept of Sag. V'az Yizbato Shem Ma. Then there will be no use for the name Ma. Asher Zehu Inyan Chazaras Ha'olim L'Tohu V'Vohu. This is the Inyan that everything will go back into Tohu V'Vohu. That's, I guess that means the bittul of the name Ma. Kanisker B'Divrei Rabbeinu Zechel the Moshe Mashiach Razal, rabbis I saw in the time of the Mashiach. So Vaz Yizbato Ma. So I want to read that again because this is the first time I've seen him mention concept of Mashiach. Yishlot V'Yoyer Ba'olam V'az Yizbato Shem Ma. Asher Zeku Inyan Chazaras Ha'olam L'Tohu V'Vohu. Ma is really the operant in the world of Tikkunim. Kanisker B'Divrei Razal. Zizach the Moshe Mashiach, that has to do with that, it'll stop working that. So then, because Malchus, which is actually, I guess, the Lashon of Mashiach, Malchus itself will go up to wherever it goes. It goes up to, he's at Roma Ma'alo, so he says, Reshelo Yisyada. Baz Yizbata B'Man, then Ma will have no reason to function, won't function anymore. V'az do Yihyel Rak Beis Oroshel Avin Sak. Adkan. Over there, V'Hosif Sham the Marchuzal, V'Nir Li Chaim Vital. So he said, "Bezenchus Sod LaAsi Devo Tzaddik." This is the secret of this phrase, that in the future, Asi Levo, that is in the next world, Tzaddikim Yoshvin V'Trosechem B'Roshechem, and then they will have their crowns will be on their heads. Meaning what? That the Tzaddikim, I guess he means the Ma. Will be sitting, and the Etrot Seichem with their object of what they were trying to bring the Shefa into Malchut, but Malchut is going to be on top of them now. Besod Eshes Chayil, he of Eshes Chayil, which is the concept of the Eshes Chayil, he's Sag. Who's the Eshes Chayil? He says it's Sag. The Sag is Bina. Tehi Tara's Bible should become a Tara for her Bible Ba'olam Haba in the next world. The Asi Devoshi, who's Sag Bina Canal, which is Sag. So the word's going to go to Sag Bina. Ad Kan V'Rei Man Sha'arech Ba'agos Al Tzemach Al Mavu Sharim, but the Hangov the Tzemach says in the Mavu Sharim Sham. So he said Ein Sham. V'Rei Gam Be'eva Shalema V'Od V'Ein Kan Makom Naharech on this. So that's there. V'Rei Gam B'Sefer Gogolim, he says that the Rav talks about this, and he says. Let's say the Ve'elach HaMelachim V'Shechel B'Malchut, the Malachim that were in charge. Ki Kulat B'Prinas HaMalchus, all of them were aspects of Malchut V'Hiyosim Sod HaGavuros, and also that they were really based in the concept of Gavuros. V'Chem Sham Nislu Kol HaKlipos V'Nischaslu. So I'm translating Nislu as hanging. I'm not sure what it means. This look called a klipos. All the klipos are hanging v'nis achzu, and grabbed a hold of. Ad shuhutzukul lemisa, until they have to die. Now all of those words, I'm not sure what they mean exactly. Ad shuhutzukul lemisa, until they have to die. Kamosha ne'emba v'yamas v'yimloch. They were in charge, and they died, and then it said v'yimloch, and they were sovereign. Ad shibacha b'chesed shulchan hamelech haches, until the chesed comes. He said that chesed is what? It's the eighth malach. Shem ma hanikra hadar, which is called ma. It sweetens up the gevuros. Shem ben shehiba gevuros the mekomim, and then the shem ben goes back to where it was, which was originally in sag. Gevochim al shem ma, higher than. Now there's a little sequence there, and I just want to go over it again, but let's finish it out. Ki Shem Ben Shorsham Mishem Sag. I understand that to be true. Shuhu Elyon Mishem Ma, which is above it. So I don't really have to go back. I think that what he said is that the Shem Ma brings us to Tikkun. And the Shem Ma, after it actually rebuilds Malchus, and Malchus is now, the Malachim are coming back, it actually brings them back up, the whole bundle back up on top of Ma. Doesn't need Ma anymore. And that's, I think, that is what it's saying. Let's go behind number Kaf Ches, up above. And it says Kaf Ches, Va'oz Yizbato Kol Mara Olam Hazer Hagashmi, then the appearance of this world will stop. Below Yishar Mimenu Afilu Kochotis Aranat, even a thread will exist of it. So so let's go over here. Hasa'ara, he has something on this word here. And it says on number Kaf Tes. Kaf Tes. So it says, so we have a Zohar on this, V'chuva b'Zohar Chai, he said, this is what it says, V'yishlop shem sag v'yar ba'olam, and then it's going to shine into the world, V'oz yizbato shem b'machasadim, he won't need the machasadim anymore, Ki hakol yiyeh tov gama b'tachlis, everything will be 100% good. You don't have to rebuild anything. It will be back into that situation. V'yizbato kol chezu d'chai alma, and the chezu of this world will stop, which I think here he means, well, he does mean appearance. Afilu kachuta d'sa'ara, so even a hair's breadth will not be left. Lo yihya I just can't quite read that. I got a blur here in my glasses. Mu'uvda d'chai alma. Though there will be none of the avodah in this world, the kula is avid bekadmisa, so the whole thing will go back. It'll be destroyed bekadmisa into its beginning. What is this? This phrase that I went through, that he says v'yisbato kol chezu, so the appearance was that, and what that would be will produce some kind of a tal. That will bring everyone back, the dead back to life. V'yis aver calls zahama, and then you will remove all of the poison. V'yis aver gufa bari chadata, become like a new creature. V'zecha v'inyan taras olam the tohu avohu. This is the concept of going to tohu avohu, which has a very negative connotation to me. Kaniska b'divid Rizal. The most tiki is amazing at that time. Ad Khan said that you're going to see. Seems like he's saying that tohu avohu is actually the beginning of something really wonderful, where you have the Kiyas Amazing. Rav Shabir Od Bezoar Chai, over there, the Sod, Tohu Ovohu Hu B'B'Chidus Keser Elyon. So what is that? He says it's actually the concept of Keser Elyon, where he's talking about the ratio of the low Isyada, like that. Malchum B'Liyas and Malchus, this is the place where Malchus will go. Hanikra Tohu Ovohu, which is called Malchus. What's called Malchus Ovohu? He says the Keser Elyon. Shuhu Chomer Ki Hiyuli, this is some kind of physicality. Hiyuli, I think we've seen that word, you probably know what it means, I'm not sure here. She'ein B'Chabetzura, which has no kind of form at all, but it's some kind of physicality, Kabavur Be'etz Chaim. But apparently this is the beginning of Eitz Chaim, or no, it says the Sharman Beis, Perik Aleph, he says Ayin Sham, V'nikra Gam Choshech, it's all called darkness. But so, Yashes Choshech Sisra, from his side, from that place, I guess it will spread out darkness. And it seems like a stira. It says on one kind you say it's the most wonderful place, the other place that you say it's dark. So Ayin Sham. Why is it dark? Because it has no chezu of this world. Those three words, he said, that is back in the back, he says, maybe when we get done with this, we want to go over to the Otzer B'Urim and see what's playing over there. Okay, that's the shir. Yeah, thank you so much for coming.